Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News and happy Thursday. And we are happy. We are back. Going to be some changes, and we hopefully I don't do anything tonight on Investigator News 2 that they can take my channel away for. Um, I'm going to do it here, but tomorrow and ongoing, I'm going to have to split up some of my shows. Now, we will have the weather and lifestyle news on Investigator News 2, as well as the funny post. To save my channel, um, I'm going to have to move the news to Investigator News Network. So it might be a little bit getting used to. So if you do not have Investigator News Network, please subscribe to it today. So that way you could get our news. Um, Boy, we're back. And I didn't expect it, but we made some um, phone calls, and I can't really get into it legal wise, that I think this is why we got our channel back. Um, so, anyway, we got great news, and Karen. Um, yeah, the truth in news. That's what we're all about. And I'm going to get going on this because, boy, I got some news. Ukraine military offensive is officially underway. They've made some progress, but it's a struggle. Well, what we're finding out, Ukraine is becoming very rich. The rich and the powerful, Congress, Senate, and the elite buying into Ukraine. Also, it was made asylum for political reasons. Um, what they're finding out is so much money is being put into Ukraine that is now making a change. Have they stopped the corruption, though? I don't think so. I think the corruption is still there. If you cancel out all your corruption um, entities and programs and offices, uh, you're going to have more corruption. So we're going to have to wait and see. But not only the military, um, they are struggling. The West is counting on its success. The variation, the headlines here in a piece of propaganda, they say from the BBC, but there's others. Um, that the offensive will what will take place for military push to succeed is Ukrainian soldiers are in a village they say is they're going to retake. Now, pictures published on social media leave these villages uh, or pushed out or uh, you know are they pushed out, and is it just Russians that are being pushed out? Because that's what happened in 2016 when Ukraine was pushing Russian speaking and those that wanted to be Russian out, and they fled to Crimea. Now, offensive what will it take for the military to push and to succeed as Ukrainian soldiers are in a village? They say, of course, they've retaken. Pictures published of from social media, and they what they do is um, what villages are these? They never do say. They just show it and move on to the next story or next article. CNN headlines have the same story that Russian accounts admit Ukraine forces are making new gains. Now, headlines with Russian forces are striking back against Ukraine, advancing troops. Russia attacked Ukraine troops south in the same villages the same day. They say Russian missiles killed at least 11 people. Putin acknowledged some Russian losses were present. Then the Washington Post says that Kyiv's counteroffensive heats up as Washington holds its breath. Now, what? Who are the armies of Ukraine? It's very young, and they're begging for any food. They're begging for protection. They're begging for ammunition. They're begging for guns. Ukraine, the young men, entire generation of Ukrainians who may be wiped out the result of what NATO needs. And what NATO needs is to use Ukraine to fight Russia. Now, we told you last night that they were going to hand it over to NATO. Now, the United States aids Ukraine and their people. Um, and, I feel very sorry for them. It's pretty much the same we did for Afghanistan. Um, we are, we never fall for sending aid to Ukraine because they're not accountable for what they have given. And what we're finding out is Zelensky's become very rich. Biden family has become very rich. Others that are looking at resources from our own country are getting very rich. And NATO has failed um, uh, basically trying to do a post World War II, and it's been a failure. They have to look at the um, new weapons, new securities, new bridges um, that they have to surpass. And the best weapons is to offer um, that NATO has gotten, um, uh, it's failed. They're even having to fix tanks or having to fix weapons. Uh, there's complaints from the army on ground and the front lines saying we're getting things that don't work from the United States and their allies. Russia hasn't even really launched a massive response yet. And the new DOD report just came out that shows what called the Inspector General's Board from the Department of Defense, the evaluation and accountability controls for defense. It transferred via air to Ukraine within European Command area, and their responsibility to report is stunning. It shows that the Pentagon failed to track 3 out of 5 of its largest shipments to Ukraine. We're simply sorry, they said. We don't know where the equipment went. We don't know where Ukraine money has went. We're giving them aid and equivalent to millions and billions of dollars in not only ammunition, but aid for the people and military items. And when it comes to asking for the data, they refuse to show us. Or is it the FBI, CIA, the Department of Defense is afraid to show us what they received? It's really destroyed uh, great businesses, not only there, but abroad here. And we're seeing that new mansions are being built all over the place, new gorgeous homes being built, apartments, new hotels, new businesses, cranes all over the place. These defense companies need new homes for their ever expanding numbers, they say. It's pretty much what Edward Snowden was saying. Washington knows all this is a scam. And yet all these homes and all these buildings and all these cranes are all wealth that's pouring into the suburbs around not only DC, but in Ukraine. Now Tucker Carlson did point this out on a show. Um, and it's really heartbreaking to know that we have this administration that is pouring so much money into Washington, D.C., but Ukraine. Why Ukraine? Well, when you look at it for political asylum, we got Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell. Are they bought into not just China? Are they bought into Ukraine and the infrastructure? Um, Ukraine has become America's next Iraq war. It became America's next Afghani war. And what is it going to take to reverse all of this? Do we want to reverse their money? Do we want to reverse what they're doing in Ukraine to seek asylum? If this is what they're doing. But all of a sudden, there's brand new everything in DC and by the elite. But over in Ukraine. Now, why Ukraine? Yeah, I was wondering what they were doing quietly, you know, and it doesn't make any sense until you look at it. And if you look at political asylum, you're looking at who's getting out in 2024 and who's going to run. Run meaning run to Ukraine and other places like New Zealand and Canada, over to Europe. There's many places they could run to for political asylum, and we're not going to be able to even touch them. It's like Julian Assange that jumps place to place to place, so he has asylum to where they can't charge or indict him. What about Joe Biden approves Chinese EV battery factory in Michigan? Yeah, I was very concerned about this because it's not going to stop the Chinese electric vehicle battery manufacturing from setting up shop in Michigan, where 175 million in taxpayer dollars are being lavished on this project. The Biden administration's all for it. And it's basically forced the Treasury Department to hand over the money for it. The project was not in purview under the Defense Production Act, according to the media. And they said we voluntarily submitted all the needed documents to the U.S. Department of Treasury Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States to be transparent. Yeah, right. And accountable for received, and the response is not a covered transaction. Gotion's vice president of North American operations, this is what he said. We will now move forward after pausing the project to request a federal review. It's been reported that corporate bylaws of China-based parent companies require the company to carry out party activities in accordance with the Constitution and the Communist Party of China. Do you think China's going to listen to them? So as it looks now, China and the CCP will have the chip factory up in Michigan, and it's owned by China. It's not going to be owned by us. They're not going to go through and hire many Americans because they got their own. Now, we didn't have a rate hike from the feds. Good news for that. When it came out today, I thought, okay, that's good. They didn't raise it, but nothing's really good. We heard with Hannity and Newsom saying, well, look at all the jobs created. Well, it's a farce. And this is what even Politico says. And that's who they use, is Politico, to do their facts. Politico has said that when the pandemic hit, boy, I got to watch myself here, that many jobs were lost, many businesses closed. Well, now a lot of them opened up, which now they need the workers back. And so, what Handy was trying to say, this is a false number, because everybody going back to work is a normal thing, not that so anything that this administration has done. The Nashville shooter, how much have you heard on that one? Everybody remember that one? Well, the new autopsy documents answer the questions surrounding this woman responsible for the Covenant shooting. And the documents were obtained by, it was obtained by many media organizations around the globe. And this was Tuesday. The detail of the fatal injuries that Audrey Hale sustained from armed police officers responding to the March 27th massacre. The 11-page autopsy verifies that Hale's status as a female, and reveals that transgender shooter hadn't received any gender transition surgeries. So she just dressed like a male. Hale received 4 gunshot wounds carrying out in March massacre, 3 which young children were killed, as well as 3 Covenant school staffers. The analysis described Hale as wearing a white shirt, handwritten words, drawings, and numbers on it, a pink bra, of all things, and very decorated in a female type of fashion with a black tactical vest. The toxicology report analyzed L for intoxications, illegal drugs, alcohol, and there was nothing in her system. So she was fully aware of what she was doing. So, so as we look at her toxicology report, it means that she knew she was in her right mind. She might have been depressed. She might have been losing it, but alcohol nor drugs drove her to do what she did. The other one is she never has changed sexes and wearing pink undergarments. You know that still she still wants to be a lady, not a guy. Huh. So we're going to move on. Um, Black Lives Matter. Oh boy, does it? They're charged with anti Catholic hate crime in Canada. It was a leader this time. The head of Black Lives Matter movement in Canada and the city of Calgary is facing hate crime charges after allegedly impeding access to Catholic schools. The court record shows that Adora in Wofer has also prominent abortion activist and was charged at the beginning of the month in the connection with the incident that occurred on May 26. The charges claim that she willfully obstructed and interfering the use of property primarily used for religious worship and educational purposes. So they're going after the church. Now, isn't it odd that we had Antifa getting really close and they were starting to be arrested? And then all of a sudden, the LGBTQT, I think I said that right. All of a sudden, now they want to bomb Target. They have been the aggressors. And then now, of course, we have stuff going on in Canada as well as around the globe. Now we have someone from Black Lives Matter that's been arrested. It's really odd that though they went from Antifa, now Black Lives Matter is back. Black Lives Matter is riddled with Antifa. So I don't think that Antifa isn't out there anymore. They still are. They're just they have infiltrated many organizations like Black Lives Matter as well as the gang members. So, well, I'm going to get through this quick. Is the proof out there? Is the proof out there? I thought the same thing as this PJ Ryder. They showed a bunch uh, of documents with Trump, and it was just a handful. And then under Freedom Information Act, PJ News was able to find out exactly how many. They're saying about 500 pages, which will fit in one box. Well, they have been showing room after room after room after room that they have been through and got a lot of boxes. Well, when you only have a little over 100 documents you're concerned about and you put it into one of these boxes, it doesn't even fill it up a quarter of the way. Did we get scammed? Or are they actually, and even at the Trump rally, he said, and I'm not backing Trump up on this because we don't know until we get to see what's in the boxes. But he said it was pictures, it was uh, memorabilia he got for his son's memorabilia, the First Lady, and some of her patented materials for clothing. A lot of it was taken. And so this is why they have this indictment uh, going on. And of course, he showed up, and of course, he was indicted, and then he left for Mar-a-Lago. Really, it was a rally after that. So, when are we going to see Joe Biden and what he had sitting in the garage? We might not know. As like last night, I said, if we don't get a good president in office, folks, if we don't get a good president that can overturn the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense, the Secretary of State, these are people they pick, Attorney General, and um, uh, CIA, FBI. If we don't get someone in there that will overturn all of this and take a look at these um, entities on how much is corruption and how much is it real, at least it can be investigated. Definitely. Um, Boy, I'm getting through this quick, Karen. Biden administration tries um, to basically smooth things with the Khomeini. As contracts between the two sides resumed, Washington also approved a 2 point, I get this, 5 billion euros, equivalent to 2.7 billion in payments by the Iraq governor for Iran electricity and gas imports. U.S. and Iraq officials said the money had been frozen by the U.S. economic the sanctions. U.S. officials described the transfer of funds as routine and unrelated to the discussions. Similar funds have been released in the past, though this time it was done in euros. Remember the pallets of money? Oh, and we still don't know what it's about. And have you even heard the GOP even start to run an investigation into the pallets of money that goes to Iran every year? The Wall Street Journal and the Western Journal, a Wall Street Journal also, points out Biden came into office vowing to bring the U.S. back into nuclear deals with Iran, a deal that former Trump had pulled out of. And he was very criticized by the Republicans by this. We got to start looking at these Republicans in office because look at what they just did. They just let Schiff off. 20 Republicans voted against this, or basically didn't vote. They said, no, we're not going to touch it. Why? I thought they didn't like him. Where are these? And they won't even list them. They won't even list these Republicans that are a failure to the GOP. After discussions started between senior U.S. and Iranian officials in New York in December, did we know about this? No. The White House officials have traveled to Oman at least 3 times since December. Did we hear anything? Who was it? Was it John Kerry? because usually he is one that deals directly with Iran. We've known this for many, many years. Why didn't we know that they went to Iran 3 times? Blinken can't even get an appointment with China. Was he over there wheeling and dealing? Are they wheeling and dealing in Ukraine and Iran? Um, uh, letting China, North Korea, do what they want. They're not even looking at Yemen or Oman or Libya anymore. Omanian officials passed messages between the two sides since December. So not only have we been over there, but they've been passing messages. Can we see these messages? No. They are considered um, um, national security. So if you try to even get a hold of them, they're going to redact. It seems odd that Biden administration may want to renegotiate that deal. Why? And then give them a bunch of money. And when they did come out, when we had um, Blinken and Garland and a few others come out and talk about it, they said it was dead back in 2022. So they said nothing was going on. Well, all of a sudden, within less than a year, now they're back doing deals with Iran. Huh. Boy, isn't that an article? I mean, where are you going to hear that? I mean, I haven't heard it on the news. I managed to run across it in Red State News, and everybody was passing it up today. Why? Is Carrie's son? Um, um, it doesn't. Linda, you got a good point. Is Carrie's son? I'm not sure if it's his son or his daughter that's married to someone over there. So Carrie does go over there a lot. I can understand a family visit, but when you're talking, it's coming out that they're working deals with the Khomeini uh, and the heads of where they're getting millions and billions of dollars. And we all wanted to know what was this palette of money. We've never found out. And now we're continuing to send them more and more money. Or we're sending Ukraine more and more money. How much money are we sending to China? See, we'll never know that. Or North Korea. Hillary went over in at least 6 to 8 times in 1 year per year throughout the Obama administration. What was she doing over there? And all of a sudden, he's got money to build missiles with. Even one recently, and I'll get to that in a minute. Um, so, why are we not looking at Iran? Is there so much that they do that it's overwhelmed the GOP? I mean, I know they're handing out assignments to everybody, but not everybody's on board. So what is going? I would like to know those 20 and who they are, so we can get rid of them, or get them voted out and put someone in that wants to fix our country. So the other stuff with the proof of Trump, folks, we really got to look at that because it doesn't even fill up one box. And so if you start seeing all of these boxes and boxes and boxes all piled up, there's no such thing. Those are all empty boxes. And if it wasn't for PJ News and one of the reporters that went and said, "Let me see what's inside," well, you've only got enough for like this much in a box. You're talking maybe 100, 200, maybe 500 pages. You stack that up, and how much of a box will that fill up? Not much. I mean, think of when you buy printer paper. Stack it up. And not all of that is considered classified. All right, I'm going to move on. Boy, this is some good news today. Oh boy. Um, the most disturbing thing I seen today, if um, they're going to push gender affirmation treatment for the kids, and it will be required in all the schools, all the grades. And they said the GOP is basically saying flee with your kids because they're going to be taught and you're not going to be told. So if you're in California, you better start talking to your kids, and you need to either get them in Christian school, private schools, or get them the hell out of public, because it's going to be taught. And this is something even Newsom mentioned the other night. If you want your kids gender, if you want them filled with what gender is all about, then leave your kids in there. It shouldn't matter. If you're teaching them at home that this is, you don't quite agree with it, so be it. But for the most part, they're telling, if you've got kids, you need to flee, because it's only going to get worse, because they are going to start locking these schools down. And they say, our kids are their kids. No. Thank God I live in Arkansas. Netanyahu says Biden administration are definitely having active talks this week with Iran. And Netanyahu is very disgusted over this, very angry about this. And he was the one that let it known that this was going on. And is it okay for Israel to spy in Iran? That was the big question by not only Israel, but by Iran and the Palestinians, Hamas, Hezbollah. They're all saying, no, he don't need to be spying. That's not allowed. But what would we find out if we didn't have spies? And then you look at, okay, now China now has a spy base just south of our border of Florida. Is that right? When they spy on us, is it right? If they spy on someone else, is that right? And this is something that's been put forth and questioned on. I would go for, no, it's not right. China's going to spy on us. But you know what? We might need to spy on Iran. We might need to spy on Libya. We might need to spy on China too. Do we have spy bases? Do we know? I went looking, and I might have to get William on the horn. I might have to get him on there and see. Do we have spy bases in China? Does Taiwan? Would it be okay for Taiwan to spy on China? But is it right that China spies on us? There's a lot of spying happening. It's like a spy versus spy. Anybody remember that cartoon? Spy versus spy. And that's what's going on. I think we have moved to the new age of spying on one another, and what is right and what's not right. We have got Chinese in our colleges. They have bought, we see they're buying that manufacturing EV chips in Michigan. They're going to bring in their own workers. The colleges is one that really gets me. Then we knew of thousands of Chinese that came over the border that have now disappeared. Where'd they go? Well, they're not telling us, just like the kids. When we see, oh boy, I got people in the front yard looking in the window at me. I don't know. Maybe they heard I have a show and they want to peek in the window. I just seen someone like put their face to the window and wave. So I'm gonna wave back at them. My window's right there. Uh, so when is spying good for the United States? I don't. I think that is to each his own. Um, well, yeah, well, now is General Milley, is he a spy? I don't think he is. I think he's. Um, I, I don't even know what General Milley is anymore. What happened to our generals? We got Milley and we got what's it, Floyd? I believe his name is. And when you listen to them talk, it's like they're not spying on anybody. They're the ones telling China, "Hey, we're fixing to attack." Isn't that a double agent? And that should be, I believe, under our laws that they could be charged with that. You're not allowed to give secrets of the United States. But or go after Milley. Like I said, I think there is so much that the GOP can't. They don't have enough people to look into this. He's not smart, but how? I mean, if you're offered a lot of money, Linda, how smart are you going to be? They tell you, I'll give you $1 million to be stupid. You're like, well, after 2024, I can walk away, $1 million. I can be dumb. See, if anybody, it's like these kids with these protesters. The foundations offer them money, for X amount of dollars, and we'll even give you a car. We'll get you down there, but you got to protest and then riot. So, how much money would a person take before they do something bad? And I think there's too many kids out there and too many people out there in this world that'll do it. And the more inflation and the more prices go up and the more we're hurting, the more we're going to start seeing this, a lot of corruption. Um, and my thing is, Ukraine is still corrupt. Putin's even saying so. He says it's still corrupt. They didn't fix anything. They just came in and helped him out. How corrupt is Zelensky? We know the Azov Battalion is crooked. Now, Putin, no, he's not no winner on the not being crooked side, but at least he admits he's a crook. That's all I have to say. But Putin's like, I'm just going to do it, and I'm not right, and you don't like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to tell you I'm going to do it. Well, we don't have the corruption in Ukraine coming out and saying, yeah, we're crooked and we're proud of it. No, they've been covering it up since 2013. So, oh boy. So I want to kind of move on. Let's get out of spy versus spy. You know what? Hit the thumbs up or put a comment if you remember spy versus spy, because we're moving into a new age of spy. Um, and then we look at the Biden economy. It's not good, folks. They dropped for the 26th straight month. Okay, and dropping means this isn't a good thing. It means more and more people are spending less and less, which means the prices are going up and up. It means inflation is getting worse. When you keep seeing the drops, and they'll say, "Oh, the drop is good. It's good. Look at all the good stuff that the Biden administration has done, and it's dropped for the 26th week." Oh, no, 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 folks, they're twisted it. When you look at economics, um, and you look into this, why do you think the Feds didn't raise the rate? Because if they do, it's going to hurt, and that doesn't cause a drop. That causes, or it doesn't cause the drop, because what the drop is less and less spending. So I wanted to clear that up so that because you're everybody's saying, yeah, Ellie, but the drop is good. We've been dropping. I was like, no, that means people aren't buying nothing. Everything's too expensive. You want spending to fix the inflation, and that's what they should have been saying. But I don't think the people that are in power and or even our economics like Yellen understand what they're doing. They just got a job, and they're trying to fumble their way through, and they're not doing a very good job. Look at Buttigieg and Yellen, and what about that? What was it? The health organization lady? She's already resigning, and she didn't have a clue what she was doing. Or Mayorkas on the border, or Garland. These people have no clue what their job. Uh, they know what the job description is. They just don't know how to do the job. And unfortunately, it's hurt the United States and made us look very weak. Um, are we weak? Hell no, we're strong. And don't put the pride flag in the middle of the flags. Come on. It has been a part of a law for a very long time that the United States at the Capitol or even the White House, that it would be a flag that would represent our freedom and liberty and justice. A pride flag in the middle, it just wasn't right. And not to mention have you heard? Oh my goodness, they had people like flashing their breasts and um, running naked, and what the heck was that? And now they're trying to cover it all up. Even what's her name, Pierre, or whatever, at the press briefing, she don't even want to talk about it. They're embarrassed. What? I thought they were proud of the pride. Maybe not. Maybe it's like Target. And, Target's getting bomb threats in almost every single one of their stores. Why? Because uh, they feel they want to cut back on a little bit of satanic product. And who jumps in there but pride? Oh, don't take our stuff. Well, no, it was the satanic stuff. Or are they a part of the satanic stuff at Target? Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. Linda knows what I'm talking about. Yep. Yep. I didn't watch it because I didn't want to see, but she was like shaking hands and all over Joe Biden, and then she was like, or he, flashing. I don't. It was a covered up kind of flash. We don't need that at the White House. Come on, there was kids there. There was kids. At least Obama just served hot dogs. He called everybody out and all the kids out, and they had a hot dog party. And that was even weird as the day grew on. I mean, if you can't control your parties, don't have one. That's like, you have a big house party and you got somebody, a group you don't know comes in and they take over your party, and you're just sitting there going, oh, what do I do? What do I do? You kick them out. Come on. All right. No more rants from Melanie. um, um, Medicaid is looking at spending emergency spending for illegal migrants that doubles. Um, it was 3 million, now it's 7 million. Is it 7 million or billion? Billion. I'm sorry, billion. Emergency what? Is it the ones that's coming over sick? To send them back. And Biden was, Medicaid and Medi-Cal and Social Security is all going to be washed away. Well, or it's going to end, and it's our fault. Us being conservatives, it's our fault. Well, not when they're spending a double in from one year to the next. That's their uh, bill. That is their decision, and we shouldn't be accused of something that they're doing. And I know McCarthy said it. I know Trump said it. I know DeSantis said it. Pretty much all of the who's running on the Republican side for president have all said this, that it's not the conservatives that are spending away the Medicaid, the Medi-Cal, or the Social Security. It is the Biden administration. They just don't want to admit it. Well, now it did come out this week that they are. They are. The National Guard. This is really something because the National Guard, they're on the water, they're on the coast, and they look to see what is going on, not just with the whales, but they are looking that um, the wind farms is a safety threat to the United States. It's not only for the fish, the beaches, but it is causing airplanes. Um, they're having to restructure the coast for airliners or even the Air Force to come in from uh, either one of the coasts, West Coast, East Coast. And they said this should be a national security concern that this isn't working. It's, not only are we looking at fish washing up, we're finding out that um, the underground lines are coming loose. They're breaking. They're being chewed on by crabs and other fish and creatures that wanted. It's like my dog that wants behind my desk to chew on the wires. And boy, I fight with her. Boy, I fought with her last night, folks. She just wants the wires. And once they get a taste of it, these critters under the water, they're going to bite on these lines. And what about a shark? And they're going to short these things out, not to mention the millions and billions of dollars every 8 years to replace these. And this is what the National Guard is saying. It's just not feasible any longer for us to have these wind generators as a solar solution. The federal government, as we send people to Denver and as we send the migrants to or Texas or DeSantis in Florida or even Arizona, as they have sent the migrants to California, Denver, New York, Chicago, the federal government is sending Denver and other states, it doesn't say the other states, 8.6 million to assist migrants. Not only that, but I don't know if you knew, but we are sending another 200 million to Ukraine for aid. Uh, what about child slavery with this? We're finding out that those kids that disappeared, they're finding that 13 to 18-year-olds are being made to work in manufacturer plants. Remember when, was it Kathy Lee Gifford, Karen, Susan, maybe you guys know. Remember when they had those sew shops, uh, and they wouldn't let them because the kids were too. There was kids running these shops. I'm not sure what they were called back then. But this is what's happening. They're now starting to find these kids, 13, some as young as even 12, in these manufacturing shops that they say the Americans don't want. Well, did they offer them or did they just put the kids in place? And some of these kids don't even speak English enough to say who they are, where they came from, or what their name is. And I think it was Hawley, Senator Hawley, Hawley, I think is his name. They brought this out in a hearing this last week and said this has got to stop. We cannot be putting kids in manufacturing just because you feel the Biden administration, just because the Biden administration feels nobody wants these jobs. Well, when did it reopen and how many jobs did you offer to Americans first? Is this what's going on? The same with the farming. They are seeing more and more 10-year-olds in farming industry. Is that Bill Gates? So, well, they call them migrants, Karen. I have to be I got to be correct on some of this because I don't know if they'll hit me up and take me for saying the other one. Um, they're migrants. Now, some of them, very small portion, want to come here and create a life for their family. That I got to say. But there are lots of them that's over here for no good reason, and they're sitting over in the homeless camps in LA saying, "Hey, we get phone, we get food, we get a tent. Hey, we're better than what we were in Venezuela. We're doing better than we did in Africa." They're all happy, sappy, pappies. Yeah, they're all happy, 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 happy. They're getting free stuff. But when it ends, then what? Are they going to go back, or we're going to have to pay to put them back, to move them back? We don't know. Uh, the best thing we could do is close the border off all the way and do it the right way. People that really want to be in this country will do the right thing. They don't storm borders. They don't run over police officers or guards. They don't smash through walls and say we're going to do it anyway. No, people that really want to be in this country will do the right thing, and they'll be law abiding. The ones that don't, we need to take a good look at. Well, Mary found us. um, um, so Russian ships are now being seen moving into North Korea. Now we were wondering what was Russian ships and uh, oil ships, cargo ships, doing off the coast out of Alaska, and then it moved out of Japan. Remember, we were talking about this yesterday. Well, now they've moved into North Korea, and they're giving them gas or fuel and and oil to North Korea, fueling of Pyongyang, China, backing this up. So now we know what they were doing over there. And what they do is they like to, it's a typical trick of China where they'll put a whole bunch of fishing vessels, and they'll put a fleet in the center or ship. This was a ship with the oil tanker in the middle with a cargo ship to get it to North Korea. So we're fueling North Korea now, which they had sanctions that they weren't going to get nothing. But they're a part of BRIC. And lastly, boy, I'm going to end early tonight again. Lastly, we all know who Lori Lightfoot is. Yeah, we all know who she is. And, she got voted out. What my thing is, what were her credentials to be able to run as a mayor and do what she needed to do to be the best? We never did find that out. But guess where she went? She went to Harvard. She's teaching. She's a professor at Harvard. I'm sorry, a professor at Harvard for crime. Now throw good grief and um, let's just even throw the popcorn for that one. That's where she went, to Harvard. Now she's a professor teaching kids. Everybody said, well, I'm pulling my kids out of that course. Some are saying, hey, I want to see what she teaches. What are her credentials? This is a typical trait of Harvard and quite a few other top schools, that they bring in, or even news anchors do the same thing, or news. They bring in these people that have left the CIA, the FBI, of mayors that are well known, that have failed, and they're making them top dogs for the colleges and for the media and other places. When are we going to actually see credentials of these people? Where, like data. The other thing I wanted to bring up was data. How many times have we got these hearings now where they're finally smartening up? The Republicans are finally smartening up, saying, "Where'd you get that? You just quoted that. Where did you get it? Where's the data to back that up?" Oh, and then they just say it. No, no, you just can't say a sentence. Where is the data? It's about time that we start pushing these Congress and senators to start showing us the data. We need to see, are they just blowing hot air, which probably they are, or do they have real facts? Just because the Democrats say it doesn't mean they have the facts. And this, I think it's going to come down to the truth, just like here at Investigator News, the truth in news. I'm going to give you the truth, good or bad. I will go after the GOP and Republicans, conservatives, as much as I'll go after the radical liberals and the Democrats. Because if we don't change things, our kids are going to be looking at the United States in a horrible communist state. It only takes 2 years from socialism to communism. We're at year 2 in socialism. We've got to stop this. And if the GOP don't want to act, they need to get the hell out of office. All right. Oh boy. So, boy, everybody's making a lot of really neat comments. And I just wanted to remind everybody we are back. I am going to have to move my news to Investigator News Network. So if you weren't here at the beginning of the show, we still have a strike or 2 strikes. And it's going to last for, like I told you, a month and a half. And they let me have my show back today, and I don't know why. But I'm afraid they're looking for a 3rd strike to take Investigator News 2 out. I hope they don't do it. And if you guys have seen, I took all my videos. So they have been combing through years of videos to get me on. And I figured if I took them all out, then they wouldn't have nothing there. So the news will be on Investigator News Network. I will keep the funny post and the weather and lifestyle news on Investigator News 2. This is only to save what I have. I'm tired of playing with YouTube because Facebook doesn't do this to me. Facebook, what they do is they make it so people can't see me. And which is the same because you can't tell them any different. And if you make a complaint, they say they know what they're doing and that it's policy. So I'm going to have to do it this way for another couple months, and then we'll straighten all back out, and we will all be back on here again. But just to save what I have, I'm going to have to split the shows up so they don't take Investigator News 2. So I'm confusing you. Okay. On Investigator News 2, Karen, we'll have our funny post, and I will run the weather and lifestyle news. So you'll be there. Now, when I run news, we're going to have to go to the other platform of Investigator News Network because I have strikes on Investigator News 2. If they find one more, they'll take my channel. They'll take it. And I'm not going to give them the opportunity to do that. I would like both of them so I can have them. I don't want to end up like Jason Goodman and some of the others, like whatever, number 10. Hey, they're going to take channel, so we'll go to 11. I don't want all those platforms. I want just this and starting to pull more into Rumble. You have a new grand. Karen, I am busy tonight. I got family members over. So, but it's self-explanatory, Karen. We are normally on Investigator News 2. And they are the ones that I just now got the channel back. In order to keep it, I cannot have no strikes, period. If I get another strike, they take our channel, and then all we have left is Investigator News Network. So I'm done. So it's best I put the good shows that don't have political issues on Investigator News 2. That's all it is. And then have the news on the other channel. So um, I have a new grand. And what, new grandbaby? Well, I'll pre-warn you. You'll see. You'll see. It's just we'll run it on. Well, I'll give you a call. If not late tonight, it'll be tomorrow. But we do have a trivia tomorrow night. I'm excited. I feel like I haven't done it in a long time, and I thank William for the little bit he did. And then, oh, I was sick last week, so so much for the IV infusion. I thought was going to help. That's what happened. And why I couldn't do Friday. So I'm all gung ho. Yeah, we're ready for some trivia for tomorrow night. All right. With that, Mary, good to see you. Mary and Karen are our moderators, and I thank them very much. Susan's kind of like uh, she's a substitute moderator. Is that what you call her? She's kind of here all the time. So is Linda G. That they're kind of like they new people come in, they greet them, and so if you have a comment or want to come in and say hi, if you're too shy and you want to come in and say hi, mom, I'll put it up there if you want. Put your comments below and subscribe and hit the like, hit the hearts, hit the share. We are back, and we're going to be stronger, and we're only going to get better. So if you're over there on Facebook, hit the follow and the like, but subscribe. And we will see everyone tomorrow. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad they did give us Investigator News 2 back. And I'm just going to have to be careful what I say on this on the Investigator News 2 channel. So with that, folks, we will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful Thursday, and hey, I'm ready for the weekend. How about you?